sons that were slain for minimal gain. Youth that can't read, speech that can't talk, passion to move, but love that won't walk. I speak to you, my heart and my soul, my family and folks what I surely owe.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Education is the Best Medicine. And thanks for watching. Remember, public access is your best bet. Today's show is a discussion around economic health. And I believe that, as we've always stressed in terms of the issues of food, clothing, and shelter, economics is a key component of a healthy society. Today, we have one of our health ministers in economics in business, Mr. Hugh Broman. You may have recognized him because I was watching TV last night and saw him on. I said, ooh, my goodness, he's going to be on the show. So we were really excited about having him. I asked Hugh to come and talk about investment opportunities. And we know that if you go on to Yahoo, you can get about 1.5 million hits in regards to either tax deferral accounts, and you can get another 9,000 hits on just tax deferral. So we're really kind of interested about how to save our money, how to invest our money, and how to pick a good advisor. So Hugh, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, George. Pleasure to be here.
Could you tell us a little bit about your company, interest, and how it got started, and some of its primary vehicles and that kind of thing?
Sure. Interest was started about 25 years ago, and what we decided is that there are a lot of people who have a lot of investment requirements that are different than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds.
Which is a standard kind of
standard investment that everybody does every day.
Okay.
But there are people who said, gee, I want to invest in something different. Maybe I want to do real estate. Maybe I want to do limited partnerships at that time. I have different kinds of needs, like individual retirement accounts. I have qualified plans, 401k plans. And we said, let's fill that particular area that people want to make investments that they want to direct. So we said what we're going to do is offer no investment product. In other words, you don't come to our company to buy an investment product. We give you the vehicle to allow you to make any kind of investment decision that you want, so you can diversify any way that you want. And for the last 25 years, we've been doing that all over the United States.
In a recent article by John Musa, How to Invest Your Money, he pointed out some kind of concerns, I think, for the average investing. Investment is too hard, investment is too risky, and you need a lot of money to invest. How would you answer that in terms of taking a view that that's not the case, and maybe those are some of the myths we need to dispel?
Yeah. The idea that investment is difficult is because people have been told it's difficult. And it can be really through the vehicle of education, certainly through the internet, and programs like this as an example, give people an opportunity to access information they haven't had before. So the concept of that it's hard is because if you don't know the investment product, you're guessing. If you don't get the right kind of investment advice, you're guessing. And sometimes, even when you get advice, it may not apply to you or at a time that applies to you.
Sure.
So people are going to be in a situation and say, well, how do I know? It is hard. Then comes the risk part. If it's hard and I don't know what I'm investing in, and somebody says, invest in XYZ widget company, and it doesn't do well, well, if I didn't know what I was investing in the first place, and widgets went down, I would say, wow, that's a huge risk. And I'll give you another example, because most of the people that we have as clients, as an example, invest in real estate.
Okay.
Well, people say real estate is a really risky investment. It's only risky if you don't know what it is that real estate is or how it works. So what's the best answer? Is to educate yourself. So it's no longer going to be a mystery if you educate yourself, let's say, what real estate is. Go to the classes, go and get the materials that are educational materials, and look and evaluate the risk yourself. And that's how you take any investment. And I'll give you a personal example.
Okay.
I don't invest in the stock market because I don't have the time to go out and investigate every company to know how they're doing, how to look at their price earnings ratios, to do all those things, to mitigate the kinds of issues that we had with the Enron, even when the accounting firms were involved. I don't have the time to do that. Does anybody have the time to do that?
All right.
So the answer is that if I were to go and invest in equities, what I would do is one very important thing, and that's to find the best financial advisor that is a fee-for-service person that isn't going to get a commission on my buying XYZ widget.
You're getting to
company.
my next question about how to pick an advisor.
Yeah.
Just
Just roll right into that, right?
Yes.
So how do I make it easier? How do I make it less risky? How do I educate myself? If I can't do it myself, I'm going to find the right kind of expertise. Just like I find a good real estate broker or a real good real estate advisor for real estate, I'm going to find somebody who's a fee-for-service investment advisor. That's what I like. And when people ask me, what do you recommend? I say fee-for-service because I know there's no bias. The person is going to give me advice. I pay them for what they do. I pay them, and next year, when next year comes around and I need advice, they're going to give me the best point of view that they have, because next year they'd like to have a fee again next year.
Sure.
They're motivated by my success. I'm motivated by their knowledge, by their acumen, their intelligence to provide me the information that allows me to invest for my goals and objectives.
You know, I reviewed your website, really interesting. You do a lot of discussions around the use of real estate and the use of the Roth plans, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I want to have you talk a little bit about that. But first, I want you to give me a definition of tax deferral, because in my mind, tax deferral means, yeah, I can save some money, but I got to pay it back. Is that pretty fair to say that?
Well, the way it works is that the Internal Revenue Service, actually Congress, said, how are we going to get people to save? And how are we going to save for retirement? And back in 1974, as part of ERISA, and ERISA was the act that basically created the 401k plans, the defined benefit plans, and also individual retirement accounts. They, in Congress at that time, did something very smart. And they said, what we want to do is get people to save for their retirement, and we're going to allow them to put it into these kind of plans. Profit-sharing plans, defined benefit plans, and IRAs. IRAs is the most popular in 401k.
Right.
So when you make an investment in that, right, you don't have to pay taxes on your income during the time those funds are in that particular vehicle and making money.
Okay.
So I'm not
So
paying
for
any
example,
tax.
if I have it in an account and I use an IRA to just shield that money until I want to, until either the time the IRA ends or I want to take out of it, I can continue to save money in that vehicle.
Exactly.
Okay.
The mandatory time to come out, a traditional IRA, not a Roth IRA, we'll talk about that in a second. A traditional IRA is 70 and a half. At age 70 and a half, right, so you got another 50 years to go.
At least.
Right? So during that time period, all of the money is going to be basically tax deferred. You won't have to pay tax. In a traditional IRA 401k at 70 and a half, you're going to have to start taking distribution, and it's based on your expected life term at that point. And then you're taxed at an ordinary tax rate.
Okay.
So your money is multiplying tax-free during that time, and then as you take it out, it's going to be taxed.
Okay.
Now, a Roth, this is a really good one, is that going into it, you pay the tax on the amount that you put into the Roth IRA. There's a couple of means tests that you have in terms of income limits. So,
Right.
But in any event, whatever you make in a Roth IRA, as long as you hold it for 5 years, whatever you make on it will never be taxed again, ever, and you don't ever have to take it out either.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the tax-deferred annuity, and how does that differ from the vehicle that you use?
Okay. A tax-deferred annuity is an insurance product. So what happens is an insurance company will sell you an annuity that says, at a particular point in time, let's say at age 70 and a half, I'm going to pay you a certain amount, and it's a certain specific amount over time. During that time, all of your money is growing tax-free, and it's an annuity. An annuity means annual, and that's what it does. Tax-deferred means that you don't have to have any tax implications, and it's an insurance product. They generally put it into some kind of investment that the insurance company likes. It could be Mutual funds could be stock, could be buildings, could be anything, whatever the insurance company is interested in investing in. And oftentimes they give you a selection of funds and so forth to do. They're usually funds that are loaded. In other words, there's a huge upfront cost that you'll never see because somebody has to pay the insurance agent who sold you that product.
Right.
And all those issues. So it's very, very specific. You don't have any control over that investment once you buy that product. But the results inside are tax deferred, so you won't see that tax bite until way later.
Okay. I invite everyone to become more knowledgeable, as I have become more knowledgeable about investment opportunities, to visit the website interestadmin.com, I think it is.
Right, or IRA Plus.
IRAplus.com. And it provides a wealth of information on these vehicles, and you get a chance to kind of interact and go on the website and that kind of thing. It's a very good website. If you get a chance, please check it out. I guess some concerns that I have also is that, we're seeing a lot more graft, a lot more discussions around upper echelon individuals basically stealing. How can we protect ourselves against those kinds of issues? And again, it ruins the investment vehicle when these things are going on in the body politic.
Well, the biggest part is information, okay? And arming oneself with information, I think, is where it all starts. And you want to get as much information about whatever it is that your investment is going into. That's, again, one of the reasons the genesis of Entrust was that we don't have an investment product. I don't want that liability, and I don't want people to say, gee whiz, what's happened to my money? I want people to be responsible for their own money. Being armed with education about what that is, where the investment is and where it's going, so you can feel it and touch it, is what is my advice to people. Because there are plenty of people out there willing to take your money, and we see it every day. And one of the dangers of self-direction is that people oftentimes get into private placements or private investments that there isn't any investment, where people are just basically stealing the money. And George, I'm going to tell you something. This has been going on as long as I have been in this business. People have new ways.
That's not a very long time.
It's not a very long time. It's only 25 years, right? But, everybody's got a new angle,
that's true.
right? Everybody's got a new way to rip somebody off.
So I guess if you're going to invest, you need to have a diverse portfolio. You need to really pick and your advisor, looking at his track record of investment, self-referral, those kinds of things. I've heard some things about taking your emotion out of the investment. How do you do that?
What a wonderful question. Yeah, it's like, gee, I really like that house, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you learn, I think the way to take investment out is saying, are you going to live in this house? How would you, for instance, rehab a property if you were going to live in it, as opposed to making it look good for somebody who's going to be renting it from you? I think there's a difference, because when you have a home that you're living in, you're going to have your furniture, your tastes, your interests, your desire, your music, your art in it. But if it's going to be for someone else, you're going to put that together for somebody that might span a lot of different capabilities, a lot of different tastes, a lot of different cultures. So you're going to be looking at things differently for that. And I think that's, if an investor keeps that in their head, this is for me, for one as an investment, or it's for someone else as an investment, you can keep your head straight about that.
What do you see in terms of the opportunities, in terms of the globalization, in terms of investment, as well as now the information access age?
Yeah. It becomes more complex, because if you invest outside of your neighborhood, and I'm a big believer in investing in your neighborhood, okay, and your neighborhood is defined as how you like to define it, be it here in this community, or be it in the United States, be it North America, whatever. As soon as you get out of this country, out of the United States as an example, you now have two additional risk factors: currency risk and political risk, generally. Okay, there's also a lot of other risks, but let's just say those two. I'll give you a good example. We were recently down in Argentina, and one of the things that the people down there said was, We don't know whether the government is going to change their mind about how they're going to peg the peso, if they're going to peg it to the peso, to the dollar, or let it go free. One case we're ruined, another case it's okay. We don't know if the government is going to have an issue with us having our jobs. Are we going to import or export? So that's political risk, and at the same time currency risk. So if you want to invest in a global economy, you have to know about countries like Chile that are not necessarily stable and their currency is not necessarily stable, compared to the country next door in Chile, where there is the currency risk isn't there, and neither is there political risk. So those are things to keep in mind, and a lot of people really don't do that or understand it.
How do you constitute risk? How do you modify risk? How do you determine risk? And what would you consider, if I were an investor, someone said to me, that's a bad risk, you know? How do you define that?
Risk is, in my mind, something that you as an individual can only evaluate for yourself. What you may consider risky for you.
It's like going to the bar and pouring your shot. No,
that's
I'll
right.
pour my own shot. Okay.
Right? Pour your own
pour
shot.
Your own,
right?
Pour your own poison.
But there are some things that you can do to look at what risk is for you. Okay. And there's some very specific measures. And the kinds of measures that I think that are very, very useful is if it's publicly traded, then you know what kind of risk that you have. Is it on a stock exchange? Do they have audited financial statements? Those kind of measures do work.
Now, given that, given what we've seen in terms of believing that information is true and find out it's been manipulated, truly no control. But I guess that if you're going to look at those things, those are the things you need to look at.
You need to look at.
Okay.
And that's why I'm a big believer in for myself, for example, if I'm going to invest in something, I'm going to make sure I know everything about it. And I'm a real estate investor, and I want to make sure that somebody has the title to a property that I'm going to buy from them. And I'll tell you, people have sold other people's properties, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I've
definitely.
seen that. I'm going to go, wait a minute, you don't have the right to sell that.
So your special is real estate. I can turn on TV at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning hearing about how to make this real estate turnover. I can take one house and make 10 out of it, and give us some guidance.
When you see that, look at it as entertainment value. Okay.
Like the emails that come to you.
Like the emails that come to you where you're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And every one of those has a little thing at the bottom. This is unusual, right? That the results are unusual. They're anecdotal.
So you got to read the fine print.
You got to read the fine print.
All right.
Realize what they're selling as a product. They want you to buy it. And if you're lucky, like in the lotto or something like that, maybe those results can be for you.
Now, we talked about some discussion around some broad, diverse marketing products. We talk about one of your products being the self-directed. Am I saying this? Am I saying about the self-directed fund or self-directed? I'm drawing a blank. It's self-directed. That's the piece I remember.
Everything we do is self-directed.
Okay, all right.
And what's nice about it is that there is no actual investment product. So what we do is that for instance, we have 46 classifications of investments. So we have people who say, I think that a racehorse is a great investment, right? Because I'm in the racehorse business. So what do? They take their individual retirement account and invest it in a racehorse. Okay.
All right.
Another one, we have a bowling alley. Somebody has a bowling alley.
So you're able to take those individual plans and help folks convert them into their true investment opportunities to show them that direction.
It's their investment opportunity. They say, gee, I want to buy a bowling alley. So we go, okay, you want to buy a bowling alley? We'll show you how to do that. So we don't make any judgment about the quality investment. It's entirely up to the consumer.
I got a nice book here. It says How to Invest in Real Estate and Pay Little or No Taxes. I'm going to read this, and then I'll encourage people to read it. But I think that it sounds like, coming from Hugh, we may want to take a look at it to see some of the investment opportunities in real estate. What are some of the investment opportunities in real estate, and how does that happen?
Real estate is an enjoyable part of what we do. 62% of what we do. and it's only because people want to make that investment. And it's all investment property. So it's anything from a single family dwelling.
Okay.
It can be a condo. It can be part of a condo. It can be a condo unit. It can be a strip center. So it can be any kind of real estate. So it depends on what the individual is comfortable with. Most of the people have rental income that they derive from relatively small pieces of real estate. In other words, a duplex or a quad or something like that. And the income from that they derive is tax deferred, so they're not paying any taxes on it. If it's a Roth, it's never taxed, of course, so that's really wonderful. But that's primarily small properties that people are going to be deriving rental income. We do have individuals, for instance, who are good in rehabbing a property. They'll take a distressed property, buy it very, very inexpensively, rehabilitate the property, and then resell it to someone else's at a good profit. If somebody knows that area, because one can't do the work themselves, they have to hire somebody else to do it, but knows that area, it can be a really good moneymaker.
Okay, here's the question that you've probably been asked 1,000 times. Where is the bubble in this real estate market? And do you think one exists?
Well, you know, I think that what you look at is there is no bubble that bursts immediately.
Oh, it's more like a wet balloon.
It's kind of a wet balloon. Okay? You're exactly right, George. And so what happens is as interest rates rise, then the demand changes, and it gradually tapers off and then slows down, and then the market corrects itself over a period of time. And what we see is, for example, that there's more inventory in the marketplace. We see housing starts decreasing over time. They've been increasing, but they'll start to decrease. The number of units that are vacant, rental units vacant for a longer period of time increases. Those are the kinds of tip-offs that things are softening in the marketplace. The only way that you're going to have a crash is if there is, let's say, a 5% increase in the prime rate tomorrow, and all the banks raise their rates. There's no mortgage money available to anyone, and that would be put a stop to borrowing and people having available credit. That's how a crash happens. But the Fed's been reasonably intelligent in graduating the increase over time. But there is market demand out there. So as long as there's market demand, there are going to be buyers for them at the right price. It's really a macroeconomic view. Some
investment vehicles, commodities and futures?
Commodities and futures. A lot of people do them and love them. Day trading.
How about investment in real estate was one of the ones they talked about. Limited liability corporations.
Right. They're generally small private placements where somebody says, gee, I want to start a little restaurant chain in my community. I need investment capital, and I don't want to go out into the stock market like the stock exchange or someplace like that. They put together a limited liability corporation that attracts investors in the local marketplace that say, okay, I'm willing to give this a fly and see how it works.
Will it go public, or is that?
That's before they go public.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and so what they're doing is it's a series of private investments that the person who's going to put the restaurant chain together has given them a good business plan, knows where they want to go, there's a market demand for them. In other words, it's you and me, not me and Wall Street. Okay,
gotcha.
So you and I talk about it and say, you want to open a restaurant chain, And you say, yeah, I've got, Fat Apple's restaurant chain or something like that, and you say, I think that sounds like a really, really good investment.
As an investment vehicle, some of the unsecured investment vehicles, either the unsecured loans, tax lien certificates, contracts of sale, accounts receivable, leases. What do you think about those, given your background as investment vehicles?
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. Unsecured loans, that's when I give somebody money and I hope they pay it back.
Okay.
That's high risk.
Yeah.
Even if it's somebody I know.
Okay.
Okay. So that's really high risk, but we do have a lot of people who do that. What's the good side is accounts receivable financing, because what accounts receivable, which is the last one that you had mentioned, is that if someone has a receivable and needs the money right away, that I will give them the money right away out of a pension plan, let's say, and they pay me a rate of interest because they've been able to get the opportunity of that money, but I know the receivable is a good receivable. Let's say a doctor, the patients are going to pay, or the insurance company is going to pay. So that's really low risk, and I can get a good high return on it. But again, it's something that one needs to know and understand before they do it.
Hugh, we got about a minute left. Could you kind of wrap it up and tell us some of your maybe 3 key points in investment, and why would we want to come to Interest?
Well, the investment side is, why would you come to Interest is easy.
Okay.
It's real simple.
Okay, all right.
If you want to self-direct and select your own investment and you take charge of your retirement future, you can do that.
Okay.
We have no investments to offer. As far as investment advice, very important. Know the product or choose the right kind of investment advisor that's going to give you the information that you need to make an intelligent choice. And one remaining thing. Know how much life you have ahead of you that you're going to plan for.
Okay, all right. Well, we want to thank you for coming. We want to thank your lovely wife who's in the audience for bringing you here on time. I really appreciate that, and her patience in being here. I know how it gets to be intense. I want to thank my executive producer, Brunella Fisher, for setting up this show, because I didn't know Hugh Broman personally, but now I do. Yay! And I want to thank Hal, keeps it real for us. Hugh, I want to thank you. You do. First, I thought you were a little aloft, and I thought that maybe we wouldn't be able to get along. But my goodness, you're down to earth and a real person. And I want to thank you for, bringing light to a very, very dark world. And if vision is the art of seeing things yet unseen, then truly you're a visionary. Thank you for coming
Thank you, George. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for coming on. We want to have you back. We want to partner with you. We're looking forward. We want to use you as our investment guru to come and talk to us about some of the changes that are going on as we try to move and grow people forward.
Terrific.
Fair enough?
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, George.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, it's
From mama's broken hearted, I surely came. Sons that were slain for minimal gain. Youth that can't read, speech that can't talk. Passion to move, but love that won't walk. I speak to you, my heart and my soul. My family and folks, what I surely owe. My 100 double O, nigga, ride a flow to the beat, here we go. And it's so. I was born in the city of dope. If you survive with the live, gotta pray to cope. When the players pop the collars on the fade stroke. 76 keys of F3, I'm ready to go.